everyone, welcome to StudyIQ English. We are talking about a great development when it comes to gender empowerment in India. If you remember, it is the Sustainable Development Goal 5 that talks about ending all forms of gender discrimination across the globe by 2030, and India has shown a strong commitment to achieving all its promised Sustainable Development Goal objectives, whether it be in the field of climate justice or whether it be in the form of gender empowerment. Today we are looking at gender budgeting. How, right from 2020s, the government has been earmarking a greater share of budget of all the government welfare schemes and policies in the favor of women to protect them, to disable the centuries-old discrimination that so many women in India have been victims of. Now, from UPSC syllabus, a topic that's integral to GS paper 2, distributive justice, very integral to social justice as well as gender equality. What has really happened and why is this development making news? See, you and I are busy talking about the budget, the economic survey and the defense budget. We clearly know this time the budget has been quite promising when it comes to the amount of money the government has chosen to spend on urban local bodies, and now we are celebrating how the government has also decided to improve the total amount of gender budget. So what has happened? Before that, we need to know what do we mean by gender budgeting. Now, gender budgeting is not a separate budget for women. When we do gender budgeting, we don't mean that we need to create a separate budget, the separate annual estimation of cost for being spent on women welfare. We are not creating any separate logistic here. What we are saying is that a policy tool should be created to ensure that government spending, now it be in whichever area, whether it be, say for example, the Ujjwala scheme, which provides LPG connections to poor and rural women, whether it be about Matritva Vandana, whether it be about Janani Suraksha, or whether it be about a state-oriented scheme, say for example, Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana. No matter which scheme it is, it should always have certain amount of money separately earmarked for women. Now, this was also a very common concept when in 2015, Indian government initiated the Startup India mission, the Skill India initiative. Even there, certain amount of funds were reserved for women entrepreneurs. Today also we are saying we will earmark certain amount of welfare schemes and government's expenditure on women and girls, and we will try to benefit them. It means we will channelize and track funds in various schemes that promote gender equality. So, apart from the fact that India strongly believes in achieving the target of SDG 5, we also are committed to our directive principles of state policy. We know that various DPSP, whether it's 39, whether it's 40, whether it's 38, whether it's 42, each of these talk about creating work safety, improving employment opportunity. In fact, even Article 41 that was in the news right now with regards to the Manrega bill. We consider it's a right of Indian citizens to ask the government to give them job opportunities, and in these, gender inclusion becomes extremely important. Similarly, never forget about International Labour Organization conventions. India is a founder, one of the key participants in finding of ILO. That was back in 1919. And I think everybody should know by now, because we keep discussing it very often, that ILO has 8 mandatory compulsory conventions, from which India has ratified 6. But there are 2 that India hasn't ratified. But at least when it comes to gender pay gap, when it comes to gender equality in work, India does ratify the convention. So which 2 related to trade unions has India not ratified? You can let me know in the comment box if you know the answer. Now, coming back to gender budgeting in India, a concept introduced back in 2005 and 2006. By this, we mean that as the gender budget statement is presented every year, it is a part of the union budget. Now, multiple times you and I have also discussed the word budget itself is not mentioned in the constitution. So, which article of the Indian Constitution actually talks about the annual statement of expenditure of the government? Finance of the government. Can you tell me which article is that? Yes. So now as the budget is rolled out every year, this time you understand that the budget has been very ambitious. The budget has promised more capex expenditure, capital expenditure, and slightly reducing revenue expenditure. The budget this time has also been ambitious because the government keeps too. The government says, I want my fiscal space. That's also the reason behind the controversy. Why? In the Finance Commission, the divisible pool of tax for the states hasn't increased from 41%. The government says, I need money for, say, finances into defense, for Atmanirbhar Bharat schemes, and for also taking care of national priorities. So you see, the budget is capex focused this year. Similarly, gender budget should be a part of this budget, and the focus areas here will mean maternity health, maternal health, reproductive health. We talk about education. We talk about skill development as well as financial inclusion, social protection, women's safety. All these are the key areas where the Indian government promises to spend more money in order to give women more empowerment, a secure life. Now, if you look at this year's budget, the gender budget, especially 26-27, definitely it's a big step. We are celebrating about this today because finally, for the first time, gender budget allocation is 5.01 lakh crore. This is a tremendous amount of allocation if you compare it to the past cases. So, it has increased by 11.55%. It has increased by at least 11.55% from 4.49 lakh crore to today. We see how it is above 5 lakh crore rupees. What does it show? It shows a major jump from last year. In fact, in history, for the first time, we have given so much money to gender budgeting. Shows the government's focus on women welfare and empowerment. And therefore, if you look at the share in the total union budget, then the gender budget now contributes to 9.37% of total union budget, much more than the previous year. That was barely 8.86%. See the rise here? It's not a marginal, a major rise. Tomorrow, should you get a question in GS paper 2 about how is the government planning to promote more women empowerment in terms of gender budgeting, in terms of financial redistribution, then this is exactly the data that you must highlight. So this is a sheer increase, which also means that nearly 1/10 of the total budget spending has been going towards women and girls. Already there are grievances. We know that as the expenditure from the budget has gone more towards defense now, has gone more into areas like AI now. People often argue, why in India have we not been able to give 5% of our total GDP into healthcare sector? Why not into education sector? Now, these are social infrastructure related questions. These are important. Ultimately, deprivation in these areas leads to multidimensional poverty. But today, by giving this much increased allocation to gender empowerment, the government has given a very solid answer to all these grievances. It is one of the highest proportion given to gender budget in the last few years. Okay, so that's a very proud moment. And if you look at participation wise, then many more ministries are now participating in the gender budget. If last year only 49 ministries were a part of this initiative, this year there are 53 ministries and departments who are contributing to the overall budgetary expenditure. Now, as I was just talking about Sustainable Development Goal 5 that talks about gender equality by 2030 under United Nations, remember in India we have so many directive principles of state policy which talk exactly about that. Some of these I have highlighted here. For example, Article 44 talks about UCC, the battle in India between secularism versus secularization. We know that by creating common uniform laws across India in areas of marriage, divorce, adoption, separation, and alimony, we are promoting equality among women. At the same time, 42 talks about making humane conditions available to women workers, including maternity relief. Recently, India achieved a milestone when menstrual right has also been considered a part of fundamental right. Article 21, the right to life itself. Similarly, Article 39, Part D and E. If D talks about equal pay for equal work, E talks about health and strength of workers, including women, to protect them against abuse. And then there is Article 39A, which means state or the government must provide adequate means of livelihood for people. Hidden here is Article 41, the right to find job itself, the right to get work itself. So in this regard, we can strongly appreciate this move. And with the hope that this gender allocation actually brings a change to women's situation in reality, not just on paper. A quick practice question here. With reference to gender budget of 26 and 7, consider these statements. 1. The gender budget allocation for 26-27 is 5.01 lakh crore, which is more than 9% of the total union budget. Second, gender budgeting in India refers to a separate budget exclusively prepared for women-related schemes. And 3. Gender budgeting was introduced in India in 2005 and 6, presented annually as a part of the union budget. Easy question, which of these are true? And to find the right answer, you must scan the QR code here and become a part of a prolific, growing, efficient, super effective Telegram community of learners. And now a quick reminder, this is 21st of February. Very few days left for 26th February, a very important day because we start 2 new batches, one for 27 UPSC, one for 2028. Courses that assure you selection by covering all GS, static as well as news, current affairs as well as writing practice, lots of books and materials, relevant PYQs, MCQs. Join today. Price is very affordable right now. It's an offer, and using code SPLIVE you will get further discount, and as I said, not just a course, a guarantee of selection at StudyIQ. Thank you so much.